The next item on our agenda is reading and approval of minutes of June the 27th. And do you want to explain? Good evening, everyone. The June 27th meeting is combined with your chaos today's minutes. So we can go with this meeting. I'm just going to read the These Rancho Dominguez Neighborhood Association meeting is called to order on May 23rd.
Testing.
Good evening, everyone. The East Rancho Dominguez Neighborhood Association meeting is called to order at 6:10 p.m. by President Vanessa Warren, currently by Ernestine Gates, led for allegiance by Candace Q. Introduction of first-time visitors, there were 5 attendees. Opening remarks. President Warren began her remarks by stating she is trying to have someone from the county offices to address some of the problems in the community. If you have any issues or concerns, write your name and number and turn it in to her. Parks and Recreation has trimmed the trees in the park and now the street lights are visible. Also, a walking trail has been installed. The motion was made to accept Doreen McFall as member of the East Rancho Dominguez Board of Directors member. The motion was carried and she was accepted as member of the Board of Directors. Regular business. East Rancho Dominguez Library Representative Albert Rancho distribute a monthly calendar listed with summer programs for children 5 to 12 years, teenage 12 to 17, and adults 18 plus. ERD Community Service Center Maria Garcia will assist you with utility bills up to $200 on gas and $1,500 on medicine bill. Also, library corner has been set up for children. Department of Public Health. Representative Gail Morrison gave us information on sidewalk vending ordinance. Thanks to SB 946, sidewalk vending is legal in the unincorporated areas of Los Angeles County, which will go into effect August 4th, 2024, but vendors don't have to be in compliance with their permit until August 4th, 2025. Department of Economic Opportunity. Jessica Miles, a supervisor for the Office of Small Business, they're here to save your business time and money, making certification easy. The Office of Small Business help you start your business to certify in any of the county's 7 programs. The County Sheriff Captain Bell gave an overview of the County Sheriff has been what the County Sheriff has been doing in East Rancho meetings. The handling of street racing takeover. The Highway Patrol, along with County Sheriff, are working together to stop the street takeover. They are making arrests, but there is no accountability because The district attorney will not prosecute. However, the captain said there is only one car assigned to these Rancho Dominguez. Captain Dale invited the community to come out to the National Night Out August 7, 2024 in the Compton Town Center. President Furley said we have the responsibility to make use of the information that is given to us. There is power in numbers, and if we work together, we can accomplish a lot. The meeting was adjourned at 7:54 p.m. Respectfully submitted to its former Secretary and Senate Vice President. Thank you.
Can we get a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, I'm going to also ask you, if you can carry the chair. Can I get a second? Okay. Has been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes with any necessary correction of June, what is the date? No, I'm sorry, July the 25th. Are there any 25th, 2024? Are there any questions? All in favor? I'm hearing you now. Yes. Okay. You also have attached the minutes for June 20. No, May. Is it May 20? June 27. Okay. So what we're going to do, what I'm going to ask you to do is to read those. And at the next meeting, since we have not had an opportunity to read it, at the next meeting we'll bring them back and have you to approve them. Okay. I just want to let you know there are refreshments in the back, so that if it's so hot, we decided to go from coffee to tea, iced tea. So if you need something cooling down, we have it. Okay. Opening remarks. I have attached to the agenda. The flyer that was supposed to go out for the month of July. And I'm going to ask you to just look at it for a minute. And so what I want you to do in this flyer is bring those challenges that we face in this community to the forefront, so that members of the community could know what we're working on. And so street takeover, vendors taking over sidewalk, all these things you see, mobile encampment throughout the community, speeding in and out, speeding in and street takeover on our major streets and boulevards throughout the community. And these are just a few, but these things take us, keep us busy in terms of trying to address those issues. And the way they keep us busy is because it seems like nobody has a real answer to the problem. So my strategy is just to keep them aware. Every department that is responsible for something, we keep them aware. For example, we worked on the issues in the park, this park, and it was probably, excuse me, it was probably they trim it, excuse me, they trim the trees, but then we find that the lights in that area on that side of the street, some of them are missing, some of the lights are missing. So I sent another email out to Mr. Cooper and asking him, would he see that Southern California Edison would replace those things. And let me just also say this, that for everything that we do, all of it, the more information we have, the better we can get things accomplished. And now how would you know that it's Southern California Edison that has the lights? Well, the way we know that is that each one of those light poles have a number on it. And so we call the light company. We know that in this area, Southern California, on the truck we see is Southern California Edison. So we call them and let them know, hey, we want to do a different thing. To repair the light. But we were covered in that. We asked Parks and Rec to get Edison to install lights that hangs over in the street and hangs over in the park. And so we'll see how long that's going to take. But the most important thing is you don't ask for nothing, you don't get anything. And so we just have to be consistent. And when we bring guests of the county in different departments, when we bring them to the meeting, it is so that you become informed, not just the officers, but everybody, because more people informed in the city, in the county, or in our community in the city, the more things we can get accomplished. Tonight, we do have our usual guests who are local. We have some of them here tonight. And so we're going to allow them to present their information to us. But before we do that, I would just encourage all of you to just take a walk down the walking path. The walking path is at the end of the park. But just take a walk. You know, you have a few minutes, bring your coffee in the car, and you don't realize how much walking they can run lap around this park, and you'll benefit. I need to make more than one, but I do make one lap. So I encourage you to do that. Utilize the things that we have worked to get through the process. Okay. Okay, Supervisor, I'm in his office now. Yep.
Good evening. Good evening. Well, the library has been very busy this summer. We've not only had our summer discovery program running, the county's been doing one local in the county. We've had a couple programs to connect with that, but two of them are coming up, and these are paint nights that Albert is leading. We met him last time. We have a black and white landscape on the 13th, which is a Tuesday of August, from 5 to 6, and then we have another landscape or a different image on the 27th, again from 5 to 6. We've been having tutoring this summer at the library. It's beginning what we hope is a continued effort to have some sort of educational opportunities over the summer while kids are on break. So the first part was reading, and it was 4 weeks long, and we had a big list. actually been library visitors, so that was really nice to be able to have these young women aboard. And their last day is next Thursday. Is that right? Nope. It's 2 weeks from today. So I've been working with them all summer on the days they aren't doing tutoring to give them some skills of job training, resume writing, cover letter writing, job searching, skills that they need to pick up. And they're both high school students who are very promising. So very happy to have made their acquaintance. So, we continue for 2 more weeks with our Smarty Camp Story Time, which is at 11 a.m. That's for children 2 to 5, and it's part of our Smart Start overall program at the library. We will have a hiatus at the end of the month for 2 weeks. Right now, we do not have an official children's librarian. Ms. Denise promoted. She is now the manager over at George Nye in Lakewood. So we're very happy for her, but we miss her. And we are on the hunt for someone new. So we're waiting for civil service to propagate our list. Up next for young people in August is August 1st, Thursday at 4 o'clock. We have bingo for books. And on the 8th, we have the creation station. This is from 4 to 5, ages 7 to 12 and their families. We have the teen programs on the 2nd, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th. And those are for ages 12 to 17 from 4 to 5. And then we have one of our art activities for adults with developmental differences, and that's on Wednesday, August 21 from 11 to 12. And these are for ages 18 plus. And usually we have a very robust attendance, but we have a group that comes that we've been able to create programming for that they really want to engage in. So we're really happy with that. And let's see. I think that's about all that's going on with us right now at the library. We're hopeful that we're bringing aboard another associate, which is one of our part-time people. We're waiting for her to clear her medical, and we hope she starts in mid-August. Right now we have a young woman, 2 young women in the library. One is doing our children's stuff, and there is an associate part-time, but they are waiting for their express library to open up because they're from Linwood. So we're waiting on them to leave us. We don't want them to, but they're going to have to eventually. And I want to let you know that the Paramount Library had its grand opening last Wednesday at noon. It's beautiful. It's a completely refurbished building, and they have a living room. So I invite you to go and look at the Paramount Library, which is down on Paramount Boulevard in the city center there. And that's about all I've got.
I have a question.
Sure.
The teen advisory board, what does they do?
So that is for youth, and usually the group from here comes that day. And that's for them to decide what kind of programming they want to offer, and to give suggestions and pointers. It's also a time for when young people who want to volunteer at the library come together and talk about that opportunity. Usually it's to fulfill community service hours, but we evidently we've got a couple who are just really enthusiastic about the library. We have about 5 teen volunteers right now. Which is really great.
Well, I think it would be suitable for them to make a turnout and what I need to do.
Unfortunately, you guys are on a Thursday night after hours.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, while I would like to invite them, I'm not sure can't compel them. So I'm not sure that they would take me up on that opportunity. But I certainly will pass the invitation along.
But could we, this is one of them?
I have no idea. I'll ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you much.
All right. Robinson, is he still?
How about that? How's everybody doing? All right. Good to see all of you. Start by saying happy Thursday evening. First and foremost, I'm glad to be here. Good to see all of you. Today is the start of a new beginning. We have a great collaboration with that public library. You see that little corner, it's the library corner, and it has booklets over there. We've been having a lot of people coming with their parents. And if the child doesn't come, the adult comes in and still gives the child the opportunity to have a book read to them at home and or even here. So what happens is the child, if you have a grandchild that loves reading or needs to be read to, they can come inside the center, pick up a book, and twice a month the public library replenishes the book. So it's full of books all through the month. So what you see now is that means that activity is occurring. It's limited today, but before the month's out, there will be full for the following month. Great experience. Food program, you know that's ongoing here. Mondays and Tuesdays. On Mondays in the afternoon from 2 to 4:30. On Tuesdays, it occurs twice on that particular day, once a month. 9 a.m. in the morning to 11:30 a.m. and also in the afternoon from 2 to 4:30 p.m. That's once a month. However, should the need arise, if there's an emergency, I kid you not, don't wait till the next month. We will give you food in addition to that distribution. You know, every family situation is different, and our objective is not to assume, but to make sure we're sympathetic and patriotic to the needs of everyone. Up and coming, currently we have a computer literacy program in which you know, community seniors, 60 years of age or older can actually get a free computer, attending a class 8 consecutive weeks. The class is slated for 2 hours twice a week, 10 to 12. However, seniors have a lot to do. Some seniors have some concerns they need to address. They're dealing with their grandchildren, so they'll come in for an hour, hour and 15 minutes. And we give them credit because what they don't learn in the class, they're given materials to take home to learn. So we're looking forward to trying to start an additional course. Now, one's in progress as we speak, but the next course should start within the next 4 weeks, if not sooner. So if you know of someone in your community, they're not checking in with the village or anything, they do have to live in a low economic social setting. Primarily, our interest is to try to get them from this unincorporated area, but if they live afar, no problem once we qualify them. Some applicants will not qualify, and the secret to that is, I will tell you, if they have a computer at home and or they have internet, they're not eligible. So, as you've heard that, you know what to do if you know someone who's in desire need of a computer at home. So I can't go into details, but I think we can figure it out together. We need to work with them, because there's so many people that are in these communities that would love to have computer iPad. We're trying to build, in which we are, we're building collaborations with park and recreation. That's an ongoing experience. They're thinking to do like an open house. One of the meetings I attended recently is to do an open house at the center, and in that we have to set a date, and that's tentative right now, as if we confirm the date. But what we're going to do is bring some of the great work that the parks is doing in this community, and also with our department, and as a collaborative, to just let the department shine so more people can be familiar with both county agencies are doing in this community. I'm excited. I've read some of the material today that was distributed, and congratulations to the continual efforts that you're making here. Give yourself some applause for the soldiers, the hard work, and the leadership within this community. So with no further ado, I just challenge each of you to just tell people about the service. Yes, it can be musical chairs. They can come in and look at television. They can read. It's treated also the center as a cooling station. So if you have nothing to do, you just want to come sit around, eat around, put a movie on, or whatever, we can make sure that happens for you. As you know, previously we had a congregate meals program, and that's still in progress. There's a lot of details that we not discuss here, but our goal is to make sure we get that as soon as possible. So instead of living and not knowing what will happen tomorrow, if you're a senior, we want you to live today and tomorrow and be excited about the ministry of the future. So if you have any questions for me, I have them for you. I have all the answers that I can do. If I don't have answers, I will get them for you. Anyone? Any questions? Well, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So, specifically, our community center, within the Department of Aging, so it's home.
Right. Here it is. Now, she just asked a question. Now, could you hear me when I was talking? Oh, okay, good. I feel all about this microphone. Yes, I work for the Department of Aging and Community Services. No. Now, make sure you're listening. I work for the Department of Aging and Disabilities, okay? Prior to that, it was Workforce Aging and Community Services. Prior to that, it was Community and Senior Services. It goes on and on. But the most important people, as you know, are not the ones with titles. It's the ones that are not just present, but it's the ones that participate. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a difference that way. So if there's any questions, you have any other information you need relative to what we have and what we do within our department, I want to get that information for you. Because these service centers are one of 14 centers that are located throughout Los Angeles County. But our department over at large has many other programs that we're offering, you know. And we can get those lists for you should you need. Okay? Did I answer your question?
Not really.
Okay. Come on, let me hear another one. Let me hear another one.
I said, it says that we are the community center.
Yes.
But we also, when we told that we was the Department of Aging.
Tony Williams.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this. I'll piggyback on what Tony said. I'm not going to change what he said. Because sometimes when something is said, you can hear one way and it could be meant another way. I'll try to give it to you right off the press. Our department is Aging and Disabilities. The community and senior centers are a part of one program within the overall department. We have various programs. We're funding different agencies for some of these places you see that are doing job preparation and all that. Our department funds them, so there's money in the department. We have staff in our departments that are monitoring various programs where our department has funded. So it's broken down into many parts. This is just one program, which is our centers, senior and community center. Emphasis right now is funding, a lot of funding is geared towards seniors, but there's funding, general fund money comes from the Board of Supervisors. In addition to that, area agency, that's monies that they give to the centers as well. So it goes on and on. So funding has to come for those computers that they're distributing. So money comes from different programs, and people are constantly trying to complete RFPs within our department to get additional funding to make these centers run. So hopefully that helps. Any other questions?
Because I'm really kind of confused on. Seriously,
Let me get it.
I'm in line.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't mind, you can hear me. I'm really kind of confused as to what exactly, okay, you gave us quite a few names as to what this center is all about. Okay, can you itemize some things that goes up under the title of each one of those things you said? I mean, not right now, but put it in a chart. Because when I come over here, I don't see too much going on Not that it's not going on, but, I'm sorry? So, okay, so it's for the aging and disability. That's one of the things you said, right?
The full department.
The whole department is aging and disability.
It's changed to 2022.
Okay, so what do you do for the disability? What is it? Give me some examples, you know, I need to understand, because I might fall in that category of someone around me and I don't even know you're offering it here. So, can you make it plain?
I like the energy that she has. I'll start like that. But let me simplify it. The best way for me to answer that,
Just answer to me, we all know.
we're here. The best way, sure they want to know. Absolutely. I'm excited. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. The best way to answer that question is a simple one. From this center, my position would be is to link you to a viable resource within our department that can resolve an issue like that. Our job is not to stop case management, whatever it takes, is to facilitate the success of helping someone that's disabled. We can't assume through the opinion of others to gather conclusions when it comes to assisting the disabled, but I can personally, just as you're sitting there and you're sitting here, link you with a viable resource within our department and potentially have one of them representatives come that's in that category that can come maybe one of these evenings present and go and give you a full detail with literature to match what they say they can do and how it could benefit what you were suggesting and requesting. Would that be okay?
That sounds pretty good. Maybe we can have them come to this meeting and tell us what exactly is available to us.
Absolutely. In that realm,
A lot of us
absolutely.
don't know.
Right. And that's right. And what I like about that, thank you, is that when you're talking about the disabled, I can't look at one and say who's disabled. All I know is we want to make sure, like you said, make sure that service is available, give you that voice that can talk educationally, that can present, that has the expertise in that service. And that's within our department, so we can get that for you. And our department was broken down into two parts. You know, when this new department came in, it split up to two different departments. So for the ones, for the experts in that area, we can make sure that we can coordinate something, let them come out and present to you. So you can get not only literature, the information, but to have hands-on and hear from the mouth of the experts who work very, very closely with the disabled. Okay?
It's aging.
And
And the aging.
the aging as well. Yes.
What else?
Come on. Yes. Well, look, yeah. You mean over the years? Yes. Yeah, that's a good question. And in that change, I've been in those changes. Yes. Right. Well, I will say this. The leadership is not in the titles. The leadership is in you and in the people. The question that you're asking about why it changed, there's various reasons, but you need to hear why. It was a pool of people who got involved in those changes. You know, we're dealing with the 4th Missouri District that had a lot of part within those changes, within our upper management, and many staff throughout. You know, it was like just not one person answered what the title should be. It went through many channels to get to that and derive at that name. So that's what I'll leave you with, and that's the honest truth. So, yeah, well, and I understand that. You know, I have opinions too, and I commend you for speaking up. But I will say this: someone listening. I always say, for a senior or whoever it is, you know, if a person is a senior, you have to treat them with care, be very special with them. And sometimes what maybe they have lost in a lifetime, just even a second of knowledge maybe that they used to remember, is worth more than a lot of people will ever know. So we cater to them, we cater to people and you, so no one is left out. It's what it is. And any other questions? Yeah, but you can hold me here, because I can stay all night.
Not a question, but I would like to make a comment.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, aging and disability, relevant. But, it's like Sister Ernestine said, this was I'm sorry, I'm not in church, this is yeah, it used to be, the seniors had somewhere to come. Now, we have this nice center, and we refer to it as a senior center, but there's nothing going on for us. We go in other areas of senior centers. Why?
And you
We
know
have
what?
people right here that want to have a place to go and we get together and communicate with one another, have fun, we used to have celebrate our birthdays, we come down and play cards, we have church, we exercise, we did whatever.
And
Now it's like nobody comes anymore because there's nothing to do, or we're told that, oh, this is the center for the aging. This is the center, when you want us all to be aging, can we just stay vibrant?
now, wait. Let's make them feel, understand. Who told you that it was only for the 18? I'm curious.
Started doing this with Brookings. When he came in, everything changed. After COVID, everything changed. Everything changed.
And that's what you were told.
That's when we was coming in here and there was nothing going on. We couldn't do anything, we couldn't even bring refreshments. But that was after COVID, so I guess it was trying to keep it.
Well, let me help. Let's,
What can we do?
let's-
That's the thing, I don't wanna just keep jumping on you.
no, you're not, no, I enjoy it.
When you talk to the powers that be,
Yes.
come down here and we have meeting on the fourth Thursday of every month.
That's what
We
we're
have
trying to do.
somebody to come in or we can jump on in.
I think I suggested
All
that.
right.
Yes. And that's, I think I suggested, thank you for working with that. But, and you're welcome. So, in a nutshell, our goal is not to exclude all the things that need to happen. Let's start today. And like you said, you've come to the center and you were told that nothing goes on. Starting with you, me, what you've said, maybe a suggested box on the wall, something to put up. And it's not there, we're just talking. Put some of those few ideas together. Now, we can throw some things out, but there's a protocol and there's a policy as to how things should run. But a life is never complete unless it's shared with someone. So, through the pandemic, we've lost a lot of folks. There's been a lot of liabilities throughout centers and so forth, with nothing, things not being maybe put in the right order. So, with the new management now, they're putting things in order. What's omitted are the concerns that you're raising. We hear them maybe many times, but it is time to do something about it, and that's the goal, the objective. So, this is a great conversation for me. And I kid you not, I can look at you all day long, but it means the world to me. And this took a lot of your meeting, but believe me, we're getting somewhere now. Thank you. Let's give her a hand.
Mr. Robinson, we're gonna give you a hand too. Let me also say this, and then, Parks and Recs is not here, but we do have, an officer from, I wanna say Parks, I'm gonna let you, give your opinion. But let me just say this in regards to, what has gone on. Before COVID, when the administration supervisors all began to change, new supervisors, there were new directions. When the old supervisor of community services, because we were involved at that time, when she retired, they brought in people who knew nothing, as far as I was concerned, about community services. And so they began, through all the politics, began to change the name. Well, there's a lot in a name. But if you're not doing anything, there's nothing in a name. So, there was a lot of politics that went on. There's one center that is still a community center that I'm aware of. I'll tell you two that used to be. Florence Firestone was the most powerful community center in this area. It's off of Nadu and Compton Avenue. When the former supervisor of the second district was there, before his term ran out, he had that center completely remodeled. It had more programs for seniors, it had more programs for the community, and if you go there now, it's like a ghost town, like this one. The only Bible one that I'm aware of, there may be one in Whitney that is Bible, but the only one that is in this area is the one they call Woodbrook. That's off of Jazz. What's the name? Alsagonia and what? Okay. That one remained a community center. They still do all the things that they used to do. The sewing, the lunches, everything that they used to do, they still do. Why? Because the community stayed together even during COVID, and they were able to maintain the center as it was. That's people power. And so that center still is in effect as it was before. They have all of the programs and that they had before. So, we will see and hope that Mr. Robinson will bring those top leaders, his boss, not just his boss, because she don't make these decisions, but it's her boss that needs to come here. And they come here, some of them, and it needs some inspection, but they haven't come here to hear what we have to say. And so that's what we want. And maybe we need to go through Holly Mitchell's office and say, look, bring those people who are responsible for aging to our community center so that they can hear what we want done. Okay, so our next guest is going to talk about what we all experience every day when we drive down Atlantic, the parking, the lack of parking, the traffic. So he's going to give us an overview of what his responsibility is and how he can. Let's greet Officer Ben. I can't pronounce his last name, but let's give him.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be here again. What Mrs. Farley and I were talking about earlier is obviously a lot of people have concerns. I know the library has concern about all the taco trucks and the food vendors and all that, and how it's going to be impacted by this new, that they're basically allowing it. It's not a whole lot that parking enforcement can do about regulating what you see on these forms that they've been handing out, these the guidelines. That has directly to do with, I believe it's health and safety or the health office and how they license those. And code enforcement, most likely, I I don't know yet exactly, but I will find out and get back to you. But most likely will have to be code enforcement or the health and safety officers that come out and cite them for the violations that they're showing you on that flyer that they handed out. And I wasn't here last month, but I guess you did have somebody here that was kind of giving overviews on it. I don't know if they touched on how the enforcement's going to happen. All that we can do, and even the Tonkin Sheriff Station do, is deal with what we're already dealing with, is the parking enforcement and the red zones and the parking on the corners. And when I say them, it's mostly the patrons. The taco trucks get here early and they take up all the parking. And so what's left is for their customers to come and park in the red zones and block the driveways. They take up all the parking at the Gonzalez Market. And we can't really do anything about that. That's private property. But when we do the sweeps, we patrol the parking lot, we check the handicap spots, we find a lot of people, families sitting in their cars eating their food that they bought from over here on the boulevard, and we really can't do anything other than enforce the existing parking lots. And which, if they don't have a handicap placard, they do get cited for that. It's a very expensive ticket. They're not real happy about it, but we let them know you can't do that. There's people that need that from the community here to visit the market and the other stores there. But we have been doing some, we don't have enough people yet, but we have been having some random overtime, what we call saturations, where a couple of officers will be out here at random hours and catch them at different times, and we do the enforcement. But one thing to remember is no matter how much we enforce, a typical enforcement scenario would be we pull up and we cite the individuals for parking in the red or blocking the driveway while they're getting their food. And as soon as they're cited and they pull away, another car pulls in right behind them as we're pulling away, moving on to the next car. It probably will not get any better as the word gets out that it's legal to vend. And I have a feeling that people were just going to show up and start selling whether they have a certificate or a license or not, because an observation that we made is that we've noticed in the last couple of weeks a lot of new people are vending. And when I say new people, it's very obvious. They don't really know what they're doing. They're just setting up for the first time. They have brand new equipment, brand new T-shirts with their company logo on it, and they got a guy, his wife, and his 2 kids out there trying to make a buck, and they're showing up at 5 and 6 p.m. They're not here at 2 p.m. like most of the other vendors are. So this is what we're seeing. So we know these are new people trying to cash in on this, and since they're not requiring them to actually get their license for another year, we really don't know how it's going to impact it by how many vendors there are going to be out there. But again, we're going to have to get with, and I will follow up with the code enforcement and see who is it that you can call, and we'll get with the ladies here and have another contact number on how you can report those, because again, we can't really do anything about the vendors. We can just continue to enforce parking issues. And I'm happy to say we finally got the host team, the sheriff's host team. They're going to come and deal with that encampment that's on Lindsley and Atlantic. That it's obviously a homeless group that just kind of got out of control, and they're kind of thinly veiled as a vendor. They're selling old junk there, but they've already given them their notice, and they're going to be in probably, I believe it's in about a week or 2. So the host team will come out there and make them move, and yeah, it's this one right here. And it's just out of control there. They take up all the parking, and then they even park on the outside of that. And we've even found that they will sell that tent to vendors. So like we have families that show up and they'll give them 20, 30, 40 bucks for the evening, and then they move all their junk to the side or out into the street, and then you have somebody selling, food there. And so that's not making things any easier by being that congested. So we continue to do what we can. I don't have any information for you on the homeless encampments now that there's been a new court decision. We're all talking about it. We're just waiting to see what the board of supervisors will allow us to do. As of right now, there's nothing, because there were strict guidelines on how the homeless encampments and the motorhomes were dealt with. But now that the governor issued an order following the court decision that the county can do something about it, it may change things, and we'll keep you apprised of that as we find out. There are people working on it, because that's probably the biggest concern that I get in my office over there is, what about all the motorhomes? And secondary is the vendors. We're out here all day, every day. We have people now, so we did finally get another new person, and so we're able to adjust our schedule. So we have people 7 days a week, from 4 in the morning till about 6 p.m. And then when we do the random sweeps to deal with specifically Atlantic, that's an overtime spot that people sign up for. We would have people come from other stations. That's on random days during the week, but we try to limit it to Friday and Saturday nights. You called me on Sunday and said it was way out of control on Sunday, probably because it was a really nice weekend and everybody was out. But we'll have to expand to that if we can. But again, because of the manpower, we can only, this is not the only area that has this issue. So, everybody's maxed out. They can only work so many hours in a week. And so they limit it to like 4-hour spots. And we change it up. It's primarily been Fridays and Saturday nights, but we'll have to change it to an occasional Sunday to catch them. But again, it's one of those things that it doesn't seem like it makes a lot of impact, because as soon as one pulls away, there's 5 more lined up waiting to pull in there. Did you have a question? There's a lot of surroundings. So the question was, what does the city of Paramount do if you don't see vendors over there? Like the adjacent cities that you don't see the vendors, the food vendors and the taco trucks and the carts, they have rules against it. And so they have teams that just go out and they can just have the regular police officers and their city code enforcement officers go out and they cite them. And if these people don't have identification, whatever, they call the sheriff or the city police in and deal with them that way. But they do confiscate their carts and their trucks, because our tow companies, they have contracts with these other cities. They say, yeah, we get calls, we have to go take a truck away from somebody, or a trailer or a taco cart, and the police, they need help with that, getting them and removed from the street. But that's what they do. They actually have ordinance against it. But the unincorporated area, what we're talking about now, is they're allowing it and they're going to let it be completely legal. There is some guidelines, but we know what happens in the unincorporated area is that people go crazy and end up having some of the people that get licenses and certifications, and that gets enforced. But there's going to be a lot of people that will show up for a day or two here and there, like what I was talking about. People that are showing up, and we see that they're coming from. Well, that's what I'm going to find out for you. I don't know, because this is a new program, and it has nothing to do with. It really doesn't have anything to do with anything that the sheriff's department can enforce, because it's these certificates and licenses for these people are they're enforced out of through code enforcement, county code enforcement, or possibly the health department, because we don't have any codes that they've given us that we can use to enforce. When I say enforce, when they don't have a license or they're violating these terms, being too close to a driveway, whatever, there's no section for that. We don't have anything to write down on a ticket. So maybe that's why they're being loose about enforcement for the first year, but a lot can happen in a year. I mean, we watch a lot of things change over the first year. We were talking about COVID earlier. That year, a lot of things changed and got out of control. So, but in the meantime, we are out there. The parking officers are out there. When we go out there to enforce, we don't just cite these people and move on. We talk to them and advise them, hey, these are the complaints we're getting. You're selling your food here, and I know it's legal, but you have to pick up your trash. You need to make sure your customers know not to leave their trash, because we're finding them on the adjacent streets, 2 and 3 blocks away. People will park and walk over and get their food. They take it back and they eat on the hood of their car and just throw their trash in the gutter. And that's what I've been advising that these vendors, you may pick up around your trailer, around your truck, but your trash is getting 3 and 4 blocks away, and the people around here are getting sick and tired of it. And I've even advised them, hire a neighborhood kid, pay them a few bucks to go pick up the trash. And, if it's these paper plates from the vendors, and get with the other vendors and, all chip in and, come up with something, We've advised the guy right here next to the library about, I got him in touch with the muffler shop down the street. Said, put a muffler on that thing. That generator is so loud. You contacted me out there the other day, and we couldn't even have a conversation. That thing was so loud, and we were in the doorway of the library. And so I walked over and I said, "Look, CZ, people can't even have a conversation here." And I said, it's really bothering the library. We've received a lot of complaints that people want to come in and enjoy the library for what it is. And then you got this thing vibrating the doors off the hinges. So he said he was going to get with that muffler shop and get a muffler made for that. And hopefully he does. He hasn't yet, but there's really nothing we can do. We're parking options, we can't enforce with the noise ordinances. But we keep reminding them that there's a bigger picture here. It's not just where they park that we're concerned with. I don't know, maybe have a meeting and talk to some of these vendors and say, hey, we're going to have a meeting here at this center. You guys should probably come here if you're going to be running your business and hear some of our concerns. That might be something that might work. And I'll spread the word when I'm out there. And they listen to me because they don't want to get a ticket, but I can let them know that the community wants to know what you guys are going to do to try and work with the community. It seems only fair that they do.
In our last meeting, we did have 2 days.
Oh, we did?
We came to the meeting, and they were upset too, because they not only have a truck on road, but they also have a restaurant. And the reason they don't like it in the truck is because most of their business, they couldn't make a profit inside the building, they couldn't shop it.
Oh, okay.
So they
Put a truck up there.
put a truck up.
Yeah.
But they don't like it because they're losing money because it's still raining. What is raining?
And so you're saying that this new ordinance is supposed to be done next month. That we're going to be
How it's going to be enforced. Right.
Okay, so, the red zone is your zone, right? And you can enforce that.
Yes.
So can you help us on how is it that, you have the red from this one down here, you have Friday and Saturday, is the parking lot.
Right.
So are you,
Yeah, they get tickets, and even there's the hot dog guy that lately parks in the red zone there when he can't find. He gets here late, so when he parks in the red zone, his comment is it's still cheaper than renting a building, and so I'll just pay the ticket.
so my next question was gonna be, can something be done? We started doing the African person.
Right.
What about home? Immediately.
The thing is, it needs.
Nothing left activity because they're making more money than the.
Right, so that's where it comes into, we need the Board of Supervisors to approve it to be a tow zone. Now, in other areas where there's a predominant problem, they will do that. They will not only make it a no parking zone, they will also post it and paint the curb as a towaway zone. And so that's something that we would want to talk with Mr. Kyle from, and let them know that I would personally like to see them, and something that you would recommend is that they do in Orange County, where they allow these taco vendors. They allow only 7 spaces on this one block. And any of those licensed vendors can get those spots, but they limit it to just those. And then the red zones that surround them are tow-away zones, and they just tow the cars away, whether they're patrons of the business or if they're the taco trucks or whatever food vendors. But that's something that we can't enforce without an ordinance to do with it. But that's definitely something we've recommended to them in the past in other areas. Now this is going to be countywide, and we're expecting to see a lot of that. one of my collateral duties is Lakewood Station, and they really don't have but one small unincorporated area there that borders with Long Beach and Lakewood. And I've been now getting complaints, and I went there the other day, and there was 2 or 3 vendors that had never been there. Now, my sister lives in that neighborhood. I drive up and down that boulevard all the time, and we've never seen them before, and now all of a sudden they're in that neighborhood too. So we're going to see that as the word gets out that it's legal, more and more people are going to be wanting in on this game. And I mean, just drive around up and down in the city of Compton and the unincorporated area. All these restaurants are closing, and since COVID, all these places are closing, so they're looking to do something else and use taco trucks as a cheap and easy way for them to operate. They don't have to pay for, insurance, and a lot of it's cash, so I'm sure they're not reporting all of it, so that's something that, makes it really easy for them to do this, so, and as Mrs. Farley was saying, that the one vendor, they decided to take up on that too and move the truck out to the curb, and then they're kind of ready to vacate their restaurant because it's more profitable.
I think it closed last month, and they were here at a meeting for the restoration fees and all that, waiting for a year. I asked questions about the restoration fee. Now, they're supposed to be able to be signed for waiving the rules. They're just not going to pay for that restoration fee. Now, I don't know how that can be enforced. I just think it's another mess. It's not gonna solve anything, it's just only gonna make it worse.
Right. But this is why we need to talk to the supervisor's office, or maybe somebody through the Department of Health that's going to be licensing them, and find out who is responsible for enforcing all those rules listed on that page there. Because,
That's what I actually put that into.
yeah, we don't have any sections, and we spent the last week or two trying to see if there's any old sections that they were going to grandfather in, but there just isn't. Other than basic parking laws, you can't park in a red zone, you can't block a driveway, you can't block a fire hydrant. And but we need to know who's going to be responsible, because ultimately people are going to call the sheriff's station. You have a question?
No. I actually made this,
Oh, you made
flyer.
this?
I made
Oh,
it
okay.
based on the ordinance, and just based on the ordinance, it's stating that the Department of Economic Opportunity is the one that's going to enforce it, and they're supposed to be the ones collaborating with the sheriffs, but they haven't done that yet, to my knowledge.
No, we haven't heard anything about it.
But in the ordinance, it states clearly that the Department of Economic Opportunity is the one responsible for making sure that these requirements are being met.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's just a little bit about when. Did you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, all these vendor trucks out here, where they're parked at now, right now, it's all red. I never see law enforcement out there citing them.
We're out there. We just we can't be out there every evening. We don't have enough people right now. But we've been doing that more and more. We've only had somebody to stay as late as we do now for only about a week now. We've only had 2 officers to go from the 110 freeway to the 710 Alondra to Rosecrans for the longest time. And so now we finally got a new person that started about 2 weeks ago. So now we have somebody that's going to be here a little bit later. And then again, these overtime sweeps where we're working in the evenings, we're having to change up the days we do it, so we're not out there every night. We just don't have enough people yet. But we are getting more people now, and you will start seeing more out there. But again, it's one of those things, even when we are out there, we watch them. As soon as we sight these 5 cars and we're pulling away, the people that do drive away, new ones pull in right behind them. The ones that don't, they yell at us and they say, hey, I got a ticket, do I have to move? And it's like, I wish you would, but I can't do anything if you don't. And that comes into where we need it to be a specific towaway zone, because a lot of these people that are parked there, the ones that are just legitimately buying their food and moving on, those are the ones that they get cited, they move on, and more fill in behind them. But some of these are people that are helping their workers for these vendors, and so again, they just use it as a cost of doing business. And if they get 2 or 3 vehicles with tickets, that's it's $150 for 3 tickets. But if they're making $500, $600, $700 an hour, then that's cheap. That's cheaper than paying rent in a building. and that's why they do it. And understand, it's not just a problem here. In East LA, it's a huge problem and has been for about 25 years. And they haven't gotten it under control there. And Hilda Solis has worked really hard to try and work with the vendors and the community and try and come up with a solution. But you just can't do it. It never gets under control because the people will continue to do this. We have the same problem with the tamale shop around the corner. Metro, they're like, hey, the buses can never stop at the bus stop because people run in, they buy their tamales, and then they run back out, and before we can respond to the call. But there will be somebody else there and they will get a ticket, but as soon as we do the U-turn to go right back to what we were doing before, 2 more cars pull right in behind them. The weed shops, it's the same thing. It's anywhere there's a high turnover of business where they're not going to be there for more than a few minutes, it makes it almost impossible to enforce and make an impact unless we can get like some tow-away ordinance that, well, people will see that they will lose their car, then that makes a bigger impact.
So we have to get the ordinance intact in order to get these vending trucks.
Right,
out.
and we're working on it from our side by working with the supervisor's office and saying, here's what we would like to see, but then they ultimately need to approve it. And they've got to decide what they're going to do in these areas to address these issues. I mean, we enforce what they give us to enforce, and we do the best we can with what we've got for the existing things. But it's, as you can see, it doesn't have a lot of impact because there's just way more people, here than there are of us to be able to constantly enforce it. Yes.
You still, you handle inside the community,
Which community?
say, Atlantic, that was business.
You mean like just all the residential areas and everything?
Anybody that comes, you handle the ones that come over the streets.
Yeah, that's what we do mostly during the day is we have, what is the issue? And then let me know what it is and I can tell you.
So what do you do about people that fixing their cars on the street?
Well,
I know they can do it in their yard, but they're provided, got people in the alleys.
right. Yeah, if they're parked in the alleys or even if they're on the public street and they're actively working on the cars, we do have an ordinance, we can issue a parking citation for that. But here's the thing with that. I had a gentleman from Butler Avenue call me the other day and he was really upset because he's one of these, backyard mechanics. And he says he even has employees. What gets me is that they can get away with this in the unincorporated area. And again, that's not a sheriff's department issue. That's code enforcement. Yeah, because I have family members that have businesses in the residential areas, and they have, the cities that they're in, they're very strict about it. Matter of fact, the city of Long Beach will not even let you be an accountant in your home. You can build cabinets, you can work on cars, but you cannot be an accountant because they said it generates too much traffic, people coming in to get their taxes done. So some of these don't make sense, but that's code enforcement that deals with that, not parking enforcement. But to answer your question about them working on the cars on the street, they do get tickets, but most of the time they don't care because they're not their cars. They're their customers' cars or a friend of a friend's car that they're fixing. And so they don't even tell them that they get a ticket. I get these phone calls about 3 times a week. Hey, I've never been to Compton. How did I get a street sweeping ticket or a working on my car ticket? After we do the research with it and I show them the photo, and the officer took the photo when they issued the citation, they're like, oh, I don't know how my car got there. I've never been to Compton. Well, it's a friend of a friend that knows this guy that fixes cars in Compton, and that's how they got their ticket. And that's how a lot of these guys operate because they work word of mouth. They don't have a sign. They don't have an ad. Well, there's one guy down the street here that does have a website and an ad, but he's working out of his house. And again, we don't deal with licensing with that. That's code enforcement and the public works office. But that's what you're seeing there, and because there's nothing more specific like you'll see in municipalities, people get away with it, and all we can do is enforce, again, the basic parking laws. And for the most part, you can see how that's working. These guys continue to do it, and more springing up everywhere. because they're losing their properties, because people are not getting their cars fixed at shops anymore because it's cheaper to let that guy that I know work on their car. And so more and more garages are closing, and that's a shame. We've run into that, and the gentleman on Butler told me that's what's happened. He opened up his home business because he lost his shop during COVID when the county shut him down and he couldn't take any new customers. Huh? The Butler Avenue over here, just north of Alonzo. Yeah, so you know the guy I'm talking about, mid-block, about 2 blocks north of Alondra. Yeah, he's always. I don't know his name, but he calls. Yeah, his wife calls us every sweeper day because his cars get sweeper tickets, and you know, I mean, what can we do? We have to do our job. You know, they don't like it, but that's just what they do. But yeah, it gets enforced. It's just that, you know, that incorporated area, it is what it is. People are going to continue doing their business because that's their livelihood, and that's what they're going to do.
But basically, what you're saying, being in an incorporated area, it's a no-win situation.
The unincorporated area has the fewest regulations compared to the municipalities surrounding it. And that goes along with a lot of stuff we've talked about in this community center, you know, over the last couple of years. You know, you have the city of Compton that has it posted. If you enter the city of Compton and you sleep in your vehicle, you will be cited. And so it's the same sheriff's deputies, the same department that enforces in the unincorporated area as they do in Compton. They just have the municipal code sections that are more strict and have, you know, bigger penalties and such. And we've addressed this with the Board of Supervisors recently when we had a meeting with them, that some of these fees need to be increased so it's, you know, it penalizes them more and it's more of a deterrent. But we haven't raised our fees in I think almost 20 years. And other cities, you know, the street sweeping ticket is $70, $80. Ours is still only like 53, I believe. So they want to raise some of the fees, like the working on the cars. You know, that's a problem. And then we want to address the issue with all the things on the list that you made. You know, how are we going to enforce that? Because we don't have any, there's no section, no law that exists for us to go and write the ticket. And again, it's not going to be a parking enforcement thing. It's probably going to have to be the deputies for code enforcement. Parking enforcement officers, by the definition of the state, we're pretty limited on what we're allowed to do as far as law enforcement. And it's just limited to writing the parking tickets. The county's going to have to come up with some sections that will allow us to do that if we're going to do it. And we're just waiting to see what the board does with all of that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just want to know if there anything you want to follow with you is and we have so much firewood. I don't want my house to burn down.
Right. That's just something you need to call the sheriff's station on when you can. But you know how it is, these guys, they light these things off and then they run back inside.
Fourth of July, you know, but it's every night.
Oh yeah, I know. I have 4 dogs, so I mean, we get it in our neighborhood too, and it drives the dogs crazy. You know, everybody's finally calm, and then you're starting to enjoy your little bit of TV after dinner, and then the dogs go nuts because somebody pulls a firework down the street, and it's just one of those things. That's about the only thing. Yeah, it has to be reported by somebody who knows where this is happening at. And like on my block, we figured out who it was. 2 or 3 neighbors got together, and we finally figured out who it was, and it was exactly that. Yeah, that's exactly what we say too. It's that obviously somebody's trying to show off who's got the bigger firework.
So you said you found out who it was in one county?
Oh, so we let the police know, the local city police, and we were able to find out that the lady that lived across the street from them had a Ring camera, and she just wasn't reporting it. She didn't care. But we asked her if she would be willing to give up some of that footage of when these guys are lighting these fireworks off. And as they came in, I don't know what they did, but there was about 4 police cars, and they had him sitting out there on the curb. It was a young, 20-something-year-old kid that still living home with his folks, not doing much of it, upsetting the neighborhood with his fireworks. And from what I understand, they cited him for the possession of the illegal fireworks. But then you run into the thing that from what our neighbor lady said, is they let him go right away because the district attorney didn't prosecute him. So you ran into that. There's no penalty. Oh no, it still happens. A lot less frequently, but he isn't doing it in front of the camera because now he knows that's how he got caught. So as far as we know, he runs down the street or, you know, at the corner and lights it off and then gets on his little electric scooters. You know, these guys are so quick with those things and they just disappear. But we know it's him. I mean, it's the same area, but it's just, you know, maybe he's running out of money because they're getting less frequently now.
Maybe somebody has to have a problem.
Well, yeah.
Every time we boom out there, I jump out of my skin.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about looking out for seniors.
Yeah.
It's supposed to give out this year to have a
Comes down to the parents needing to teach their kids not to do that, you know. Is there any other questions before I head on out? No? Everybody good?
No, we're not good, but,
It makes sense.
we're not good. I don't like nothing you say.
Okay, Officer Ben, I can't pronounce your last name, so I won't try.
Encino.
Encinas?
Yeah, just think of the city of Encino. It kind of sounds like that. Encino.
Okay, all right. So he gave us a lot of information, but there's something, let me just expound on one thing he said about the corporate cities. Corporate cities have more control. Corporate cities like Paramount, Linwood, Long Beach, the city of Compton, Norwalk, any city that has its own government elected officials have more control. Yes.
Is there any way that we could become, like East Rancho Dominguez become a city?
Well, you can always petition the county to become, and there have been other unincorporated areas that have become corporate cities. The difference is that you take on everything. You take on the police. You have to have a budget that sustains the city. You also have to have a you have to have elected officials. You have to have a city council that is elected by the body. I think that in Compton, East Rancho Dominguez has a population of 20,000. Okay, give or take a little. So yes, you can, but you have.
I mean, what our population needs to be.
It's up to you. It's up to you. I don't think, maybe the county do stipulate. I know when some of the new, well, they're not new now, but some of the city, the supervisors was elected because, you know, they had four, they had five, they had at least four new supervisors elected at one time that came on board, and very few of them was knowledgeable about county government. So they had to grow into it. Now, the county, the Board of Supervisors wants to expand to 9, which would then allow them to break down the existing Board of Supervisors members area. Like with Supervisor Mitchell, she has 2 million people. That's enough for a city. I guess they're gonna vote on it. No, they can't vote on it. They just have to vote to put it on the ballot. Then the residents throughout Los Angeles County will vote on it. Maybe they'll be on the ballot for the presidential elections. I'm not sure. But that's the difference in being a part of Los Angeles County
unincorporated area and being a corporate city. Corporate city has control of itself, whereas in the county, we don't have control of ourselves because we're controlled by the whims of that particular board of supervisors members.
So in other words, every city that has a mayor.
Yes.
A mayor,
Yes.
so Concord is a corporate city.
Yes.
At
Yeah.
one time, weren't we corporate? At one time, weren't we corporate? Before we became East Rancho Dominguez?
We were what?
Wasn't
Well,
we
we have
with,
a corporate.
No,
when we
no.
were with Compton?
it was called East Compton. And that's all, in name, because it was part of East, it was the east side.
Right.
Yeah, but it's never been, it's always been unincorporated area. And just, maybe 20 years ago, we then began to be designated by unincorporated areas by name, because wherever you live, if you relate to a city, you are part of that city in name only. But you don't have any of the benefits, or you don't get any of the services that the corporate city gets. And that's the other difference. All of our services come from LA County. So that's it. Okay. Thank you. Oh, okay.
So I wanted to bring one other thing up. It's, some of you may know, because I've talked about it before, but I own a business down in Orange County. And our shopping center where my business is at, it was ordered with this big lot. And this is an Orange County incorporated city. There would have been a huge weed distribution shop there. It was part of a big company that was part of a big incorporated dispensary that had all over Orange County these really high-end boutique weed dispensaries. I mean, these dispensaries were really nice. And they wanted to have this be their flagship place. And so they bulldozed this lot and cleaned it up. This company wanted it so bad, it was going for $6 million, the land. They bid it up to $8 million and had to pay cash. Because in Orange County, you cannot have a weed dispensary unless you own the property. Unlike in LA County, any little ramshackle will do, you can start selling weed. And that's a big difference. But again, this is a municipal city, but it falls under a lot of Orange County's guidelines. I went to the city council meeting where they were doing the hearings on this. And I told, with my experience I gained working for the county doing this job, I was concerned about what I was describing. I said, hey, Mr. Mayor, I'm worried that all these people are going to be parking and taking up all of our parking, just like what's going on across through here, what you see, that's what I was worried about. And I gave my experience, I said, I understand that in LA County, they have this issue where weed shops are not really regulated, and people take up all the parking and they, make a mess of the neighborhood. They talked about it, and they actually didn't grant them their license so a study could be done. And they actually came to LA County and observed their code enforcement officers, at the order of the mayor and the city council, studied all the problem areas. And then they saw what the problem was. What I was just describing, they knew exactly how to combat that problem. They would not grant them their license unless they had 2 full-time parking attendants and 2 fully armed guards during their opening hours, and overnight another armed guard to monitor the parking lot when they were closed. But that's the difference, like Mrs. Farley was explaining, in a municipality. They did this study within a couple of weeks, and then when they had the follow-up meeting, they came down and they lowered the boom on. You can have your license, but you better have parking attendants to direct people where to park, and we better not hear any complaints. If we receive so many complaints in a month period, you will be suspended until you address the issue. When we reevaluate it, and maybe you'll have to have 3 parking attendants, maybe 4, maybe a couple more security guards. But we'll leave that open. We'll see how you might manage this. And guess what? There was not a problem from day one, and that's been almost a year now, and we have not had a problem at all. And they're busy, very busy weed shop. All these people from the surrounding cities, come there because not all Orange County cities will license cannabis. And it's down in Newport Harbor, so a a lot of rich people have plenty of money to come and, buy their expensive, drugs, and that's really what it is. But they got it under control because the city council made it happen. And, I don't mind telling you too, like, I look at my cameras right now, there's a homeless guy in my parking lot. I call the PD there, and before I'm even done hanging up, they're escorted off the property. But that's Orange County, they have a different set of rules than it. So, but that's the difference between unincorporated areas. And there are parts of Orange County that are like that. Stanton doesn't have such a great reputation, and that's because Stanton is unincorporated, and Orange County Sheriff has to handle that. And so they have a lot of the same issues that we have here in the unincorporated. So just something to think about, and this process of getting the laws changed, getting tollway zones put in. I've already put in a work order with Public Works to repaint all the curbs, so they're very visible. But it'll probably take them a month to do that, and they're gonna be able to do it, but there's nobody to park there either. They won't paint them, but they won't take the chance of getting sued over red overspray on somebody's car, so that's the other area. It's something else to think about.
Let me just get, you do it.
So can you send for the documentation
As far as the, that's city council does that. They're gonna have to, they're probably not gonna share that information. They usually don't share that. I mean, their study that they did, but they were doing what they were supposed to do. I was their tax paid citizen, and they listened to me. And, the other 2 or 3 businesses that are